Hello and welcome to my latest video on Jurassic World Alive, and in today's video I'm going to focus on the new non-hybrid unique Styracosaurus Lux. Okay, so if you're looking to get this creature, or you've got it, you want to build it, then this is definitely the video for you. I'm going to cover off its abilities. We'll see some gameplay, some battle footage, and give you a bit of an insight into, maybe some of the creatures that it actually has a better chance of beating than you'd actually think. Okay. Anyway, so let's get on with it. So Styracosaurus Lux. So Lugia says it is a swap-in wounder, and we'll go into more detail on that in a minute. It says the bioluminescence of the Styracosaurus Lux's crest is caused by bony tubercles of the skull that shine through the skin. It is believed that, like some modern chameleons, this light effect is used for communication in the darkness among members of the species. So there you go. Anyway, let's have a look at its abilities. So we've got Shielded Heavy Strike. So this is a cleanses reduced damage and vulnerable. 50% shield for 2 attacks, 2 turns. It targets the lowest HP, removes speed increase, and does a 1x attack, bypassing armor and dodge. So quite a good kind of basic strike there. Covers quite a few bases. Okay, so and then Dig in Taunt. This is a priority move. It cleanses itself, gives it a heal of 1x the damage, so it gets a heal. Increases speed by 10%, lasting 2 turns. 50% shields for 2 attacks, lasting the current turn. And you get a taunt lasting 1 turn. Cooldown of 2. So for me, this is why it's really important to get a really high damage number. Because that amount is what you're going to get to heal in the Dig in Taunt ability. Okay, moving on to the next ability, and this is again is a priority move. Instant Fierce Rampage. So it cleanses vulnerable, and then it targets lowest HP, removes shields, does a 2x attack, ignoring armor, and removes taunt. Okay, there's a delay of 1 on that and a cooldown of 1. Okay, next one is Goring Charge, and you'll love the look of this when you see this in a sec. It targets the highest HP opponent, attacks 1.25 times, bypasses dodge, does a 75% chance to stun for 1 turn, does damage over time for 33% of the target's max HP, and that lasts for 2 turns. So again, a bit of a variety of attack there. We've got bypassing dodge, we've got a stun effect, we've got some damage, and we've also got some damage over time. Okay, cooldown of 2 on that one, and it's a precise attack as well. So again, great stuff. It has a swap in resilient strike. So you can swap in, it cleanses reduced damage, unable to swap for 2 turns, but it comes in, it hits the highest speed opponent, removes cloak, dodge, and speed increases, does a 1x attack, and is vulnerable for 2 attacks lasting 2 turns. So again, that's why we need damage. For me, damage really needs to be high. So for me, I think in terms of boosts, it has to be 20 boosts on damage and 10 on health. I think speed is pretty good at 121 as is, so I would leave that alone. Get back to abilities. It also has a reactive ability, so if you're enhancing this creature, then if you get to enhancement level 5, you're going to get an additional ability. So at the end of a turn, if it's locked down, it will do a stun. Now look at resistances. So it's got 100% resistance to taunt, 100% resistance to vulnerability, 100% resistance to stun. So it can stun others, but it can't be stunned itself. So that's pretty cool. It has 75% resistance to speed decreases, 50% resistance on damage over time, which is okay. I think it would be a bit more robust if it was 100%. 50% resistance to reduced damage, and 50% resistance to reduced armor. Okay, so that's its abilities, that's the boost profile that I think it should go for, and the resistances. So how is it actually going to do against opposition? Well, I've been doing some simulations, and I'm just going to show a couple here. So first off, Atrocodistis. Now you would kind of expect a fierce, resilient creature to do well against a cunning, resilient creature, and yes, it does. It does very well indeed. So if Atrocodistis here goes for its Berserk Resilient Rampage as its first move, then it's going to die on turn one. Okay, it's going to have a sacrifice element to the attack. It does big damage, yes, great, but it takes on a lot of damage, and then Styracosaurus Lux is likely to do Goring Charge, which will do 1.25 times damage, and it's going to get a 33% of its max HP as damage over time, and quite frankly, both those is enough to take out Atrocodistis. Okay, even with Atrocodistis's counter, it still doesn't matter. It's gonna bleed out effectively. Okay, so to prolong the pain, Atrocodistis could avoid obviously the sacrificing on turn one. So go for Tough Group Cunning Strike. Styracosaurus Lux obviously goes for its Goring Charge as its first move to get that bleed in. And at the end of turn one, Atrocodistis does its counter. Turn two, Sheltering Impact from Atrocodistis. And also Styracosaurus Lux is doing a similar move in as much as it's going to get some health and some shields with its Dig-In Taunt, and it won't get a counter attack either because it's not attacking, it's kind of preserving its life there. And then turn three, it's going to do Instant Fierce Rampage. It's going to get a precise counter, and Atrocodistis will likely do its Berserk Resilient Rampage to see if it can take down Styracosaurus Lux, but again, it's going to bleed out, and also that sacrifice is going to be too much. So Pyrorixis, it's got its stun counter, which is really useful, but not in this case. Styracosaurus Lux has got resistance to stun, so any of those stun counters that Pyrorixis is going to do is going to make no difference at all. In contrast, Pyrorixis only has 25% resistance to stun and has no resistance to damage over time. So with Styracosaurus Lux doing Goring Charge as its first move, it's going to stun, it's going to have a very good chance of stunning Pyrorixis, and it's going to have that damage over time. Okay, so both those mean that going into turn two, Pyrorixis is still stunned. Instant Fierce Rampage comes in as a priority move and then takes out Pyrorixis. Alternatively, and similar to Atrocodistis, if Pyrorixis decides to do its Berserk Decimating Wound, taking a sacrifice of health, again it's going to bleed out. Styracosaurus Lux is going to do its Goring Charge. It's going to stun, but it's highly likely to stun, and Pyrorixis is going to take 3,075 damage from the attack. It's going to take 2,370 damage from the sacrifice for a Berserk Decimating Wound, and it's going to take 2,417 damage over time damage. So that's enough to take it out. In terms of pros and cons for Styracosaurus Lux, on the pro side, stun resistance could be absolutely crucial in a matchup. It's resistance to vulnerable. It does have some moves that remove dodge and cloak, but by and large, opposition can avoid damage by dodge or cloak, and Styracosaurus Lux obviously has a couple of priority moves which can give it an advantage. In terms of cons, it's only got that 50% damage over time resistance, and I think that could be crucial. And as I said, there are cases where potentially it's not going to have any abilities available to get through cloak. So it does have abilities, but then they may not be available to it at the time. So this is actually a really good example here where Styracosaurus Lux come up against an opponent with a cloak and it simply can't get through the cloak, and as a result it's taken out. So that's Styracosaurus Lux. What do you think of the latest non-hybrid unique addition to Jurassic World Alive? Let me know in the comments below and we can have a chat. So I think it's looking pretty good. Clearly it has its shortcomings. As I mentioned, dodge can be a bit of a challenge. I think damage over time resistance should be higher. It would just give us that bit more robustness about it, while still having some weaknesses, so it's not completely invincible. But anyway, let me know what you think. What changes you would make to Styracosaurus Lux, and how you would boost it. Would you boost it the same as me, 10, 20, 0? Or do you think there should be another combination? Okay, let me know in the comments. Okay, that's it for now. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it or found it informative. Please do provide feedback in the description below. I always respond to comments, so please feel free to add your comments, feedback or suggestions. Okay, until next time, this is Alien Newt.